Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And this is one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Titans Return, Voyager class Nucleon and Galvatron. Now it has been a long time since we got a really nice official Galvatron figure. And as I said, this is the one that I probably was looking forward to the most in the first wave of Titans Return figures. For the package, you got a nice open window that allows you to see the full figure within. You can also see his collector card, which is a full-scale image of what you're basically seeing here. Here's just Nucleon detaching from the head. On the side here, you have a more expanded look at that art, but the actual card features the full-length kind of look, which is really nice. Then on the side here, you got Transformers Generations logo. On the side, you've got the Autobot comet. On the back, as with all these Titans Return figures, the heads are interchangeable with all the different class figures. So you got a Voyager class Galvatron with Nucleon, you could put that on a deluxe figure like Skull Smasher, or even a larger figure like Autobot Blaster, which is a leader class. So that mix and match play value still continues on here, and I still think it's great. Then you got an image of his robot mode, his cannon mode, and then like a jet mode or something. And it says, the Decepticons unite with Titemaster partners to power up for battle. Nucleon gives Galvatron a universal systems upgrade with powerful but unstable results. I like how they throw in the whole unstable thing, because Galvatron got that way a little bit. And what's absolutely awesome, I love this, and I'm going to touch on this here in a little bit, but I love how Nucleon totally looks like Megatron. That is so wickedly awesome. But for the packaging on it, that's about it for it. So without further ado, let's get this guy out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Galvatron and Nucleon opened up and out of his packaging. And like all these Voyager class figures, he does come with his collector card with the Titans Return text there along the side. You've got Galvatron's name, and then a really cool image of Galvatron standing there with a Nucleon detaching. That's a little bit of a misleading image because of the way that the head is, and I'll touch on that here in a little bit, but it's still really cool nonetheless. Then you come around here to the back, oh, it's upside down, and you got his tech specs for Galvatron and Nucleon and how they end up looking when Nucleon attaches to Galvatron, and how his strength, speed, intelligence, and firepower all increase. But for the figure, this guy really is awesome. Now here's Nucleon. Now the thing about Nucleon is coming in here, take a little bit closer of a look at the guy. This guy totally, get him out of the way because it's going to want to focus on him. This guy here totally looks like Megatron. I love what they did with it. The overall body on him just really does have that Megatron kind of look. I mean, you can see it with his chest and everything, but the biggest thing is actually the head for him. So putting the arms there, and then you transform them, and boom. And honestly, I get kind of a Beast Wars Megatron kind of look for him. I mean, it definitely has that Megatron sort of look, but I think it's a little bit more like Beast Wars Megatron, which, I mean, I know that's not what it's meant to be, but that's the head that you have for him, and it really does look very cool. I'm happy with how it turned out. Now setting the Galvatron figure back there. Again, the articulation is the same. You got a little bitty ball joint right there for the head. The arms here are on ball joints with a limited range of motion moving in and out. Actually, it's a little bit better than some of the other ones are. I mean, you can get a pretty decent outward motion with him, which is pretty decent. And then you got the hips here that move forward and back, and then you have the knees that bend. But all in all, a pretty decent looking figure. I am happy with it, and it is also a new mold. I mean, looking at all these other ones that I have, I mean, every single one of them looks different. I can't really see any that have the same body or arms or thighs or head, or, well, his head's backwards, or anything. I mean, it's really very impressive that they were able to give us all new molds for these little guys. I'm quite happy with it. Now, setting him off to the side, this is the showstopper right here. This is terrific. We have Galvatron, and it's not a tank. It's not a helicopter. It's not whatever weird sort of kind of looking Galvatron things. It is Galvatron. It is his big giant space cannon mode, and it is glorious. I love what they did with this. This thing turned out absolutely terrific. Now, the last time, as far as I can remember, that we got a space cannon was this guy. And as you can see, they went back that old school route, and I think they did great. One of the problems I always had with this is you kind of had to rotate this around to kind of get it angling up like that to shoot things, and you could, you know, you had this and it kind of recreated the little fin there in the back, but yeah, I mean, you were stuck with it like that, and it was, you know, him pointing forward. This, though, you can bend this back, you can get him shooting up, you can get him bending this down, you can get him shooting straight at you. It is fantastic. Again, like I said, this was the figure that I was really looking forward to the most in this first wave. Now, I will say, while this is probably the best official version of Galvatron that we've ever gotten, it is not the absolute most perfect figure. There are problems with it, and I do kind of wish, you know, he had the... kind of wish he had that, but as great of a figure this is, like I said, it's not perfect. One of the problems that I have with it is in the way that these little tank treads here are on the side. As you can see, the shoulders here are actually what make up that, but when you position it like that, you can see that they're angled, so it slightly scoops down. It doesn't sit straight on the ground, and I don't know, yeah, you can totally see that the middle section here kind of bows up. Now, you can put these one ratchet joint out on both sides, but in terms of doing that, now they're going the opposite way, so you can't get it in the middle. I mean, like right there, well, maybe if you manipulate that joint, I mean, that right there is perfect. And that's in between the joints, and that's the problem. You have to really fiddle with it to get it in between the joints, and that's probably, in my opinion, one of the most unfortunate things about this figure. Now, like I said, there are a couple other problems with them, but I still think in general this guy turned out great. Yeah, you got this really beautiful and clear lucent cannon here. You got some nice molded detail on the inside there. That looks great. You do have that classic kind of look with the little thin thing underneath here. I mean, he is a triple changer, and he does have a jet mode, which I'll show you, but I mean, this is what most people are going to have him displayed at, so this is why I started here. But you got that nose cone thing that kind of replicates that underside thing that he had in the cartoon. You got the, like I said, fin right up here. You got the black and gray section here on the back, which nicely kind of replicates his leg. Just all in all, I love the way that this figure turned out. I'm very, very happy with it. But as I said, he does have a third mode, which I'm not too super happy about. I mean, I honestly don't care that much about that. But going to that mode, you just move this out, you detach this, and then you can put that right there. Rotate this section up like so, and then you take this and you fold this back, kind of position it right there. Then you take these bits right here, you're going to rotate these forward, do that on both sides. Then you rotate this down, oh, you're going to go like that, rotate this down, go like that, bring that in, then you separate these legs, and they're on these little hinges right here, so you bring these up, and as long as you don't really move the hinge from where it was here in his cannon mode, you can bring this up, and you got this little tab right here that the underside of his knee is going to tab into, so you bring that up, and then you lock that in right there. So do that on this side as well, bring that out, and then you lock that in right there. And I can see it as a tank or as a jet, but honestly, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so well, you got to take this, lower that, rotate that, and then you got a little skid plate down here on the bottom. Then you take this, and it's a little bit easier actually to move this out of the way. You got a little hole underneath here, and you put that right underneath there, and then you fold that up. So there's the completed look for his space cannon mode. Like I said, I mean, I can't complain too much. I mean, it's an extra mode, but I do think that they could have done a better job of working, out the overall look of the figure had they not incorporated this. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It really isn't. I mean, heck, that original G1 toy had a gun mode, which I thought was terrible. So you can take Nucleon and you can put them right in there. You can close that. That kind of flops up, and you can have him flying around in here, which, you know, it is what it is. It's not something I'm ever really going to utilize for a mode, but it is there. Now, one thing that I want to point out, and I wasn't able to figure out why this is, somebody was asking if there's a place where I can store Nucleon when he's in his space cannon mode. You can leave him underneath there, but it seems a little bit weird. But one thing that I've noticed is on the underside here, and it really doesn't seem to make much sense why this is completely hollowed out, but you do have a section right here. You got a little groove section here that the little tab on the back of his feet does fit into. So you can have him sit there. Again, I don't know really what the purpose is of that, other than having him sit there and kind of chill. So I mean, if you have him in his, you know, space cannon mode, this is going to be underneath like that, and it just doesn't really make sense to have it underneath there. I mean, you can't put him back anymore. I don't. I'm trying to. Maybe it can slot in like this. I don't really see much of a, because his arms are there. The instructions don't really say anything on it, but you do have that giant cavity under there. I don't know why you really need it, but it seems like it's some kind of Easter egg that they're trying to put in there that I can't figure out. But now, to go to his robot mode, we're going to close this up. We're going to just put that just like so, and take this whole section, rotate this down just like that. Then these legs, we're going to swivel down, and then you've got a little hinge right here at the knee. You want to bring that and tab that in. So detach that, and then you swivel that out like so, lock that into place. Then take this section, lower that, kind of keep these arm sections out of the way, and then you rotate him at the torso all the way around, just like so. Keep these little pieces down, rotate him here at the upper part of the thigh, fold his feet out, just like that. Come around here to these middle panels, and you got a big giant empty cavity there, but you take this, you rotate that around, and it hides it. So yes, hollow, but you know, the thighs fold in there, so it's not too bad, I don't think. Take this section, fold this up, and then you bring that down just like that. Take these arms, rotate these down here. You got his fists on the inside of his forearms, which are kind of tough to get to, so using my pseudo thumb, rotate that out. The ratchet joints are really very strong on that, so bring that out there, get that, there we go, just like so. Angle these arms, bring this around like so, straighten them out, kind of position them, then bring these pieces down like that. And now this is where the gimmick comes in, and people have complained about this because, again, Galvatron was not a headmaster in the original series, and this works differently than a lot of those other headmasters that we got, like with, say, the Voyager Sentinel Prime or even the leader class figures. What you do is you put Nucleon in his head mode, then you push this in. You kind of have to make sure that you push real hard to get it all the way down, otherwise, if you don't, you can see that there's a little bit of a gapping right there, so it kind of sticks up. So make sure you get that all the way pushed down. And then what you do is you take this chest, lift this forward, and then you got a spring-loaded section that, boom, once you do that, brings out a little crest, or crown or whatever, and that covers up the front of his face. Now, it doesn't go all the way over, and some people don't really like the way that is, and then you just bring that up and you close it. But I honestly don't think it's really all that bad. Now, you take this, you fold this, you rotate that around. You can put this on either arm. You got a little peg hole right here, but it's historically on that side, so you just put that right in there like so, and there you have Galvatron in his robot mode. Now, when it comes to it, the biggest controversy with this guy is probably his head and face. Now, both Voyager figures do incorporate a spring-loaded aspect, but unlike Sentinel Primes, where, you know, that spring-loaded gimmick actually contributed to the actual face and head, it just had those little side panels. The spring-loaded aspect here actually creates his crown. And then when you look at the leader class figures, it actually had the helmet that came around. I think they could have done that with this guy, but I mean, you got the cavity right here. It's pretty good size, but I think that in order to go around the actual Nucleon head itself, it would have had to have been really big, like Blaster and Power Master Optimus Prime, and I don't think that would really fit in a Voyager sort of scale right here. But coming in here to take a closer look at what they have going on with the head, like I said, I think the biggest drawback and complaint on this figure is the fact that it kind of just, you know, sits on there. I mean, you can see you can get it pretty close, but you do have some gapping along the side here, which does kind of, you know, make it look a little bit weird. Now, if you don't have the face completely pushed up against there, it's a little bit bigger of a gap, obviously, but I don't think it's terrible. I think that it is a little bit weak, but I do think it still is pretty decent. Now, initially, I thought that there was no articulation in terms of the neck at all. I was wrong. Taking this whole section off, you can see this whole piece right here comes down here underneath the purple bit, and it does kind of look like there's some stress marks forming right there. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. It kind of looks like it, but you can rotate this around. You can get that off to the side just like that, and you can do, you know, some head turns and things like that. But you do have to be kind of creative with this. So once you get that in, you rotate the head around, and then you want to make sure that you push the head up. So you can't get him with his head turned off to the side, but again, if you don't have it pushed all the way, you do get a little bit more gapping along the side of it. But you can do something where his head is turned to get that a little bit more turned. It does turn a little bit more, I think about right there is about as far as it can go. So you can do something like this, have him actually, you know, kind of angle and pointing his cannon off to the side, because before it was just like, oh, you're going to have to keep him pointing straight. But at least this way, you can kind of keep him tilted on an angle, kind of looking like he's, you know, shooting off in the distance. It's not perfect. Like I said, this figure is probably the best Galvatron that we've ever gotten officially, but it's definitely not a perfect figure. But I do really like what they actually did with them. Now, if you wanted to create a little bit more of that kind of cartoon look, you can actually take this section. I think the instructions even show it. Rotate this piece up and then tuck that back. So it does give a little bit more of that kind of classic cartoon sort of look. If you want a little bit more clean, I mean, it does just kind of sit up there. You can rotate that around and put that on the back. I mean, it's personal preference, honestly. I don't mind it, honestly, all the way up like that. I mean, like I said, it kind of gives them that, you know, cartoon sort of look and everything, but I am really very happy with how this figure turned out. For the articulation, you can see you got a little range of motion with the head. The elbows here, these rotate, and then you've got ratchet joints that allow you to hinge it forward and back. He does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. This one is a little bit more limited when you're looking at the rotation because you got the cannon on there, but most of that comes in the elbow. You got two joints here for the elbow. I do kind of wish that the color for the elbow joint was the same color as the rest of the arm, because that does kind of stick out. But when you do have the cannon on him, you can't really bend his elbow much. It's like, that's it. That's the range of motion. But you take it off and it still has that full range of motion. You come down here, get that right there. Because of the way that the wrists are hinged right here, they don't rotate or anything. But at least he doesn't have the gorilla arms. That's one thing everybody always asks me about getting the Mania King, which is that third-party representation, which does look pretty cool, but he's got gorilla arms. You know, they're constantly like that, and I do not like that look at all. He does rotate at the waist a little bit. When you have this here, I mean, you have to bring that down so you can rotate it more, but with that kind of up there, you're a little bit more limited in your range of motion. The hips here, you can see he's got these little side skirt panels that do go outward, and then you got the hinges that move forward and back, and then he swivels going forward and back. You got a swivel here at the thigh, he bends here at the knee, and then the feet actually have some nice pivot. They move forward, they move back, and they also do tilt in and out, so you can get a wider spread with them, and then you get the feet down on the ground to get a really cool, more dramatic, get that piece down, get a more dramatic sort of leg spread kind of pose. But all in all, like I said, very happy with the figure. It's not perfect, but really very happy nonetheless, and just makes me want a masterpiece one so bad. So now, for a size comparison, here he is. And here's the G1 version, but clearly I have him, you know, shrunk down. But again, you can see similar cues. Now, one thing that you're noticing is there is a big color difference This is a much more animation accurate look, and I do think it has a better feel, but this is the retail version. Obviously, Takara with their, you know, higher price point and things like that is going to give us, you know, the lighter purple. They'll probably give us, I mean, you got this nice reflective chrome sort of chest, the knees on here, might have that on there as well. I mean, they might even put some of the, like, you got some like glittery stuff on the inside of his cannon. They might put some of that in there as well. But you can see a lot of the cues are very, very similar. You got the Decepticon logo. I mean, they have the section right around here, but obviously this is chromed, but you do have the molded pieces right there. You got the shoulder bits, you got the abs, you got the little, what would have been the button right here. Then you got the knees with the little red bits, you got the little gray area right here. I mean, obviously you come around to the back, he's got the treads on the back of his arms, very similarly to what the original one had, and you know, the cartoon even had. So it really does look great. Now obviously, like I said, this is a little bit shorter, but you know, to kind of keep my Galvatron in the same kind of scale as the rest of my G1 figures, I do kind of display them like that. But that's kind of what you have for that. But for the longest time, this was my version of Galvatron on my classic shelf. This is the 2011 Bakkan Shattered Glass Galvatron, but as you can see, this is a Voyager figure right here, and the Voyager figure now is a little bit bigger, so pretty impressive nonetheless. But now I really don't have a need for this, because this is just a perfect representation of what I want Galvatron to look like. But I am really very happy with this guy. Now, to go back to his, I guess I should show you his jet mode. First, we're going to take this section, lower that down, bring that down. It is spring-loaded, so you kind of have to hold it down and then bring this up with your other hand. So lift that up, and that's what he looks like without, you know, his face on there or anything. So I would imagine, you know, maybe a third-party company will do something where they give us, you know, kind of a just straight up Galvatron head, which I don't think would be really bad, and I might consider getting something like that. But you take that off, you set that off to the side, then you take this, bring this around, get this all lifted up just out of the way, bring this down, you rotate this around just like so, you bring that up, cover that, bring this up. You got a slot section at the top part of his shoulder that this little tab is going to lock into. So you bring that up, give that a nice little push, lock that into place like so. Kind of bring that, well, bring that down. It doesn't like staying tabbed in all the time, so bring that there. Oh, tuck his hands away, I should say. Do that before you do anything, maybe, I don't know. Bring this up, lock that in, bring that in just like so, and then you just rotate these on the inside. Then you bring these pieces up, kind of put that down, open this on the side, rotate that all the way down, and that'll tab in along the inside of his actual shin itself. So bring that in like that, rotate the feet up and in, then you bring these around, and then you hinge it out and lift up and tab that little, oh, and no, I'm sorry, tab that around, keep that there, bring that up and hinge that up into place. Okay, there we go. And then you just peg that in there, right there. So do that on this side as well. Rotate this up, hinge that piece here at the knee, bring that back, there we go, lock that into place right there, and there you have his little jet mode again. You would take this, bring this up, and you would take that, put that right there, and you have his little jet mode. Personally, I don't care about it, but it is what it is. So take this off, rotate these back, and then bring this back, and then tuck that underneath just like that. Take these actual legs, you're going to bring that back, keep that hinge on the back knee all the way down, and then make sure that's down, put that right there. And then on the inside here, you got little slots that correspond with little grooves on the inside of his thighs. Make sure that you get that lined up and fit in there. It'll make it a whole lot easier when you're trying to tab everything perfectly together. Push that down, and then you bring the foot over there, make sure that's in the same area, bring these two halves together, give that a nice little squeeze, and again, like I said, if you have that slotted right up in there perfectly, this will stay nice and tabbed together and won't push apart. So you have that, bring these down, bring these down, don't attach that, leave that there, get that little spot, there we go, bring this down, and then you take this, rotate this piece down like that. Do that on this side as well. Rotate that kind of around, just like that. Keep that there. Keep that there. Separate that so you can, like I said, you got like that. Angle it as far out as you kind of can. Take this, rotate this up, rotate this back. Then you got a little hole section right behind the neck attachment area. So you just bring that in, push that right there, bring those two halves together, angle this. Oh, his waist is a little bit rotated, so there you go. Is that straight on? Yeah, that looks about right. No, it still looks a little bit. Oh no, maybe it's because I have his legs crooked. No, that's something like that. Wait, 1, 2. Keep that up there. There we go. Now it's straight. But there you have Galvatron back in his space cannon. Now, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times already in this video. While not a perfect figure, it is probably the best representation of an official Galvatron that we've gotten in a very, very long time. Space Cannon mode here looks terrific. It absolutely really does look the way that Galvatron should. I mean, like I said, he's not a tank. He's not a, repainted figure from another line or anything. This guy is Galvatron. The transformation on him is actually pretty fun. It's simple, but it does some good stuff. Stuff that works for the figure. And then robot mode looks great as well. I can see the complaint when it comes to the actual, mask, helmet sort of thing, but I don't think it's that bad. There's still a lot of really good stuff that goes on with this figure. In general, I think that fans are going to be happy with him. I do think that Takara one with a little bit more, cartoon accurate paint job is ultimately what collectors are going to want for their display. But that does not mean that this figure is bad whatsoever. He looks great. And I honestly could not recommend this enough to you guys. So if this is a figure that you're interested in picking up, he actually is slowly starting to hit various retail locations. So good luck and happy hunting. Or as always, there's Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the new Transformers Titans Return figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video to please like and share it. Also be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you never miss a future review of mine. And as always, until next time, I'll talk to you later.